Hi, this is Alan with your third episode of Real People, Real Ideas, brought to you by Sustainable Intentions. And I'm here with Miss Gina Swire. She is self-love expert, mentor, and manifesting queen. Did I say it right?
Perfect.
So she's a friend of Kelly and I, and she is just doing awesome things, helping so many people and being just successful in life by doing what she loves. So I thought that I would have her on the show to talk a little bit about what she's doing, how she got to where she's at, and maybe give you guys a bit of tips if you were interested in stepping outside the box and following your own dreams. So would you like to talk a little bit about yourself? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gina Swire, and I'm English but living in Bali at the moment, and I've been on a huge self-love journey, and this started from being kind of shy at school and kind of quiet and having kind of a big personality but not being confident enough to show it. And then kind of naturally, when I got a bit older, not naturally, but when I got a bit older, I started to go into partying. The grand old world of partying,
of course, as
drinking, coming out of your shell, but only when you've had 20 shots of whatever, which was quite effective. And in some ways, I kind of came out of my shell. And then I fell into being a model, which wasn't something I ever really wanted to do, but it was easy. It was a good fit, and I got to travel. So I started being a model, and during that time, I was kind of like half out of my shell in terms of confidence and pretending to be really confident and have this just this kind of centered self, which I actually didn't really have. I was all over the place. I was all up in my head, feeling just like not good enough, not beautiful enough, not intelligent enough, just not enough, essentially.
Yeah.
And so this went on for quite a few years, and I became really successful with modeling, traveled all over the world, got signed in lots of different countries. And as my career got bigger, a few things happened. I got bigger. I was a plus size model, and so my agents and clients were always like, it would be good if you were that little bit bigger. So feel free to eat that extra brownie or that croissant. Don't worry about being healthy. Just be bigger.
Not the best advice for somebody, but
Exactly.
kind of fun at the same time, right? You get to eat what you want.
Seems fun, but essentially boils down to the same message. You're not good enough as you are.
Yeah.
It's very not socially accepted to be told to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same thing when you're told to gain weight, except for society sees it as, oh, that's a good thing, like you get to eat, oh yeah, you get to be a model and you get to eat. So I was like, oh yeah, this is a good thing, yeah, but actually was feeling not good enough, like I didn't fit the mold, and getting more and more unhealthy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crazy world.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and then also growing up in a society where slim is good, in the days of Posh Spice, Victoria Beckham, where I remember getting a magazine and it had like a picture of Victoria Beckham's bum cheeks in jeans, and it was like actual life-size picture of Victoria Beckham's, and it was like this big on like half of half the magazine, and I was like, oh my god, my ass is twice the size of that, and I'm only, she's had 3 kids. So comparing ourselves to that and the societal norm, the thing you see in magazines, and
that's like just typical of all genres of society, really, is that no matter what, and it goes along a lot with capitalism and consumerism, is that we can't let you feel like you're good enough how you are, because then you wouldn't need to buy, diet pills. You wouldn't need to, buy extra food. You wouldn't need to buy these clothes or this makeup or whatever it is, So no matter what it is, you're either too skinny or you're too big or you're, not pretty enough or you're too tall or you're too short or,
Yeah. And I believed it all. Even though I was modeling at a really high level, really successful, and everyone thought, oh my God, she's doing so well. She's so successful. She's so this, she's so that. But actually inside I felt really guilty that not guilty. I have to be careful with my words, because sometimes I can be like, yeah, just throw it out. And I have to really think like, how did I actually feel? I felt just kind of confused, I guess. Like everyone's like, oh my God, your life's amazing. And I was like, I feel kind of empty and disconnected. And what I really wanted was love. But I would never admit that. I wanted love, and I thought I was going to get it from a man.
Yeah.
And
a man or money. That's basically a relationship or money. I know for me it was like that. I remember when I started working offshore and I started making good money, like the first year I was making, I made a little bit of money, but second, third year I started really making money. And I talked about what I did with people, and it was like, for a long time in my youth, because I just wanted to enjoy myself. I just wanted to have fun. And when I would talk to friends' parents and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, but what do you really want to do with your life? When are you going to get a real job? When are you going to do this or that? And so I found myself, when I was making money, I felt like I could, kind of brag a little bit about, oh yeah, I've been doing this and I've been working here and I was just offshore for 2 months and yeah, it was hard work, but I'm getting a raise next month and blah, blah, blah. So or I just, got a house in the Heights, or I just bought a pickup truck cash, and that felt like something that I could finally say in those situations, even though none of it was actually what I wanted,
validation.
So, and then it took a while for me, for sure, to step out of that. So where did you go from there, from modeling?
So I did that for quite a few years, and I was kind of getting more successful and more kind of crazy. So I was getting to the point where everything I would do, I'd be so in my head that I'd kind of have really weird energy with people. So I'd go out on a night out and I'd spend all this time getting ready and everything had to be perfect, and I would go out and just be really in my head and totally unconfident and just not feeling enough of anything, and just a mess really, although nobody really knew, only me. So that happened, and then one day I was like, right, enough's enough. So I had kind of an awakening, I guess I would call it now, but at the time I had no idea what was happening. It was really terrifying, but I remember being on the set of my biggest job of my career and just being stood there oh my God, this is my life and this is not my life as well. And all these people kind of in fast motion around me, prodding and poking me, and I'm just stood there I'm dead. And I quit. So I quit. I was living in New York. I quit New York. I quit everything. I quit modeling, quit drinking, I quit men, I quit most foods. I just quit everything. I didn't even know what was bad for me anymore. So I took everything out that could possibly be bad for me, and I went back to absolute basics. In the meantime, I'd been doing a nutrition course. So I had an inkling. I'd always been really interested in food and cooking and sustainability and the world and eco stuff, and I was feeling more and more unhealthy, and I just kind of followed the breadcrumbs, and I was like, I think I want to do a nutrition course. So I'd been doing that in the background for about a year and learning quite a lot, and that actually was just a divine kind of the universe putting something in my path, because that course that I thought was a nutrition course that I just signed up for on a whim, was really expensive, actually turned out to be a third nutrition, a third personal development, and a third business around starting a health coach practice.
Wow.
And I had no idea. So on the first day, and they start telling us about what we're going to learn, I was like, oh my God, fail, what an idiot. I've signed up. The last thing I need is a business right now. I'm overrun, completely overwhelmed with work.
Yeah.
Last thing I need is a business. That's not what I'm doing. I'm a model. And anyway, as you can imagine, that's actually led me to my path. So when I quit everything, I went back to Manchester, where I'm from in England, and I just basically I bought a house and I sat in it for pretty much 9 months.
Wow.
I mean, I went out. I wasn't like, nobody really thought anything major was going on, but inside, which is where it all happens, it was completely all going on. I was reading a million books, taking every course I could, learning from all these kind of guru type people in different Eastern and Western and Gabby Bernstein and Dalai Lama and all anything I could. I didn't even know where to look. I was just following the breadcrumbs. And I didn't have any friends that had seemed to have gone through anything like this. None of my family could relate. Felt very alone. A big thread was loneliness. And in that space, I had a few big realizations. So the first one was, oh, I don't love myself. And secondly, actually, I do love myself. Was kind of the realization, and it's not love from an ego point of view, it's this wholeness. So I realized that actually after about 6 months of studying and going inward, I realized that I have everything I need already, and I couldn't be more whole if I tried. There's no way I can be more. Like, I can only be this is it right now. So I can either carry on thinking I'm not enough, which is all in my head, or I can choose to believe I'm fully whole and I don't need to change. I don't need to lose the cellulite on my legs. I don't need to be more beautiful. I can't be anyway. I don't need to be more intelligent because I'm already infinitely intelligent. I just haven't been tuning in with it. And so I went on this journey, had all these realizations, started to feel just so much better. I was completely rejecting consumerism as well. I didn't want anything to do with money. Didn't want any belongings. Sold all my designer bags. All got sold. Everything. Just living very, very simply. And in that simplicity, I found love. And it wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't from a man. It wasn't from money. It wasn't anything external. It was just this pure, infinite love that comes from within. And it was amazing and magical. So that's kind of what I teach now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a big thing. It's funny, it's like that realization, and I guess with me it was a bit easier for everybody around me to accept, because I was always a bit weird and out there, you know? So like when you tell my friends or family, like, oh yeah, Alan quit his job and he's somewhere in Central America or something like that. I don't know what he's doing. And everybody's like, oh yeah, it's Alan, you know? That makes sense. But having that realization, and then it's funny too, because a lot of times it comes with the, like, pushing away money, pushing away possessions and all of that stuff. I did that I did that as well. I got rid of almost everything I owned except for a backpack, except for a couple of changes of clothes and a couple of things like nice memory type things that I have in my parents' attic. But then slowly, as you live that way for a while, I mean, you realize that there's a lot of stuff that you have in your life that you don't need. But you also realize that there's a lot of stuff that is actually very nice to have, you know, and so then there's this relationship with money, you know, like I never grew up with money, and I almost looked at people, because I worked so hard and because I had this background of, like, you know, being taught that you have to work hard for what you want in life, I saw people with money as like lazy, and it was unfair, and they're privileged, and like they're, you know, not good people, and but it's not true. I mean, of course there are some people like that, but then we build this relationship with money, and then it turns into problems with us later on. Like Kelly and I were even speaking about it, about how much to charge for courses and stuff. And it feels like, oh, I shouldn't say that much money, even though we know that our time and our effort is worth that much money. It's hard to say that because we don't want to come off as somebody who, you know, is just about the money, you know. So it's really interesting.
It's funny because I've got a bit of both. Like one side of my family were quite wealthy and one side weren't really. And so I kind of had both mindsets in my family, which was an interesting one. And I feel like the things that we tell ourselves so we don't get rich, like rich people are arrogant, rich people are this, rich people are lazy, like the things you just said. It's like we tell ourselves that to make it feel okay that we're not doing what we really, well, not necessarily what we really want, but probably. You know, most people want to be comfortable. And I don't know if there's anyone that likes to be completely skint. I mean, I was at one point, I was like, I just want to be completely poor. Yeah,
I mean, I like going camping, you know, and I like doing minimalist stuff. But that doesn't mean that after a week of living in a tent that I don't want to go back to a place and have a nice hot shower and lay in like a nice comfortable bed. I want that for my life. And I don't necessarily need a home. You know, I've traveled for 40 years now, and it's always been a little time here, a little time there. You know, I've done it from like $5 dorm beds to, you know, $100 hotel rooms, but like there's a medium in there, you know, and like now we have a nice place with a nice bed, and it's nice to have a little place to call home that feels comfortable, that feels nice, that you have the things that you need. So a lot of that is finding balance, you know, just like everything in life. You have to find balance.
Well, for me, rather than, I guess it comes with this, but it's about contrast. Like, I like everything in contrast. I love camping, I love going to Burning Man, and I love like having nothing. I loved being in India and living off like £1 a day. And I also love going to the complete opposite extreme, and it feels really expansive to be able to do it all. It feels really kind of makes me feel really trapped if I'm only able to do one, or if I can only choose one.
Yeah, and I think that's another scary thing about money, is that we have these examples of people that get so caught up in making money that they forget about all of the other important things in their life. And so money is very important, and taking care of your family and providing and everything like that. But when you start letting your health go, and you start letting your happiness go, you start ending up with disease and all of these other things, you know, there has to be a middle ground that we find, a balance that we find. And so I know one of the things that I really want for people is to get out and experience, you know, like it's hard for people in the United States because a job normally only gives you like 2 weeks off, you know. So trying to find jobs that people can do where they can do them abroad, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. And that's one of the things that I was very interested about having you on about, is you seem to have built a business and are doing quite well while traveling and doing the things that you want.
Yeah.
So what kind of led you into the business that you're at right now?
Yeah, so like I say, I kind of fell into it. I never intended to become a coach, but the more I learned about myself, the more transformation I made, and just like my inner transformation was the biggest thing, but on the outside as well, I lost a lot of weight. I became kind of radiant. Even though I was a model before, I was partying, staying up late.
Yeah.
No one knew, but my soul was kind of dying. You know, it was like, and my eyes were kind of didn't have the sparkle because I wasn't passionate, and I never really wanted to be a model. Although I'm totally grateful to have done that. But when I started to really live my passion and understand humans, and really I've always been fascinated in psychology and the way we act and the way we have relationships and the way we relate, and our health and just our happiness, like what makes humans happy. When I started to follow that, that's when everything just started to happen for me. You know, everything has been put in my way to make this easy for me to do, because I believe it's my passion and my purpose. And so I was coaching people at first around kind of like personal development and nutrition, because that's what I learned, and that's how I had my big transformation. And that felt really good. The only problem was people would come to me and be like, oh, you've lost quite a bit of weight, like, can you make me do that? And I was like, I mean, I can, but you need to change your inner world. So like, I'm not going to give you a diet plan. I'm not going to give you an exercise plan. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, we need to work on your inner world. And people weren't really up for that because they wanted a fast hit.
Yeah, the fast thing.
Yeah, so I had a break from it. I coached people for a while, had varying results. And I realized that the people who transformed were the ones who were willing to work on their self-love and their self-worth and their self-acceptance. And firstly, if they were willing, and secondly, if they had like a desire to be their higher self on all levels, not just the way they look. Yeah. So the ones that just wanted to look a certain way and just wanted to become healthy or whatever, it just doesn't work. They just need willpower. It doesn't work. Whereas when we change the inner world, it's a default. It just, everything comes into harmony. Yeah, definitely.
And also the willpower, for sure. Willpower is one of those things, and it can come from a lot of different areas. Some just pure stubbornness and determination sometimes. I know, like, in my early 20s, I was quite overweight. I had been drinking a lot. You know, I was just very out of shape and, you know, not feeling great, working at this bingo hall. And some of my coworkers were like, oh, we're going to do a triathlon in a few months. And everybody that does the triathlon, like, we're all going to put in $5 a week. And at the end, whoever loses the most weight and whoever gets the best place in the triathlon, they'll split the money, the pot that we put in together. And I was like, no, like, come on, guys, I'm not going to do a triathlon. Like, thanks for the invite, but it's not going to happen. And they were like, no, you should do it, man, you should do it. And, like, they kept bugging me. And after about 3 or 4 days of them bugging me, I was like, all right, cool, I'll do it, no worries. Still not completely sure if I was going to. And then I remember I told some of my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this triathlon, you know, so I'm gonna start running and swimming again and all this stuff. And my friends laughed at me. It was like, they did not take me serious at all. They thought, like, yeah, okay, Alan, you're gonna run a fucking triathlon, sure. And that was all I needed. It was like, oh, what, you don't think I can do it? You know, like, and that was a lot of ego in there, you know, but I know my willpower. I've always had strong willpower. When I really decided that I wanted something, I could go for it. Yeah. And yeah, sure enough, I trained for 3 months. I lost about 27 pounds. Wow. And I came in like 20, somewhere it was like 25th or 28th place or something like that out of 150 people in this triathlon. Amazing. And then I continued to exercise afterwards. I ended up losing like 58 pounds or something like that altogether. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm getting too skinny. I need to do some other types of exercise too. So, I mean, whatever it takes people to really give them that little push. But I also know what you mean about people that just want a quick fix, or they're only interested in looking good, you know, because these like aesthetic type of goals, they don't come from that passion. They don't come from that like that heart space of really wanting something, you know. It's like, oh, I just want to look good, or I feel like I need to lose weight, or all of that stuff. I remember people asking me the same thing. The ladies at the bingo hall were like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight? Like, what's your secret? And it's like, okay, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's called diet and exercise. And they'd like roll their eyes at me and like, not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's the same with everything. Like I'm helping people with the businesses now, and I meet some people that want to work with me, and they're like, yeah, I want to create an online business, I want to make money, like how can I travel and make money? And I'm like, that's not going to cut it. Like it really needs to be your passion, and you need to have a reason, a why for doing it. Otherwise it's the same thing, it's just like a quick fix. It doesn't come from the heart, and the universe doesn't really support that.
Do you have tricks for people to find what they really want to do? I mean,
go traveling.
Yeah, it's true, though, right? It's true.
Everyone I know was like, quit whatever you're doing, create space. I mean, this is one way to do it. There's other ways to do it as well. Like, not everyone can do this, I understand that. But if you can, quit what you're doing, quit what doesn't work, have some space, and then start filling your life with what you want, what you really, really want. And what lights you up. Follow the breadcrumbs of what lights you up, and along the way you'll find what you love. And if you have to take on a job to do that, become a virtual assistant, or become a copywriter, or use a skill that you've got, and you know, there's so many skills you can do online while you find
very much so. And you know, there's also other programs that if you have some money, you know, maybe you can find a little bit of work here or there, or work in exchange for accommodation and food and things like that, just to keep you going at the beginning until you really find your passion. And what I've noticed is the same thing, that with traveling you get to meet people from all over the place that are all doing different things and all have their own dreams and their passions. And most of the people that you meet while you're traveling and they're in all different stages of it, of course, but they're going for it. Like, you know, they decided the same thing, that they weren't willing to just settle for what society was feeding them, and that they want to get out and do something.
Yeah, because your life right now, as you look at it, is a snapshot of a million choices you've made until this point, and all these choices have led you to where you are, and they can also lead you to somewhere completely different. You need a vision and a purpose, essentially, and if you don't have those things, then taking some space and finding them is a good place to start.
And keeping your eyes open to signs for things, because and some people think, oh yeah, signs, like that's woo-woo bullshit.
Woo-woo's good.
But yeah, it is. And you know, you can think of it in a logical point of view, or in the unicorn world, whatever you want. But when you change your attitude about the things that happen to you, so if something bad happens to you, or something that you would normally consider bad, like you lost your job, or you know, you split up with your partner, or whatever. Yeah, exactly, whatever. You can look at those as like, oh, you know, my life is just full of this. It's always one bad thing after another, and you know, how come it always happens to me and all of that stuff. Or you can look at it as the universe has just given me the chance to do something else, to change my perspective of what it was that I wanted in life, or what I've been doing with my life. And now you can step out and do something different, or take a chance that you wouldn't have taken before, because you had the security of that job, or the security of that relationship, even if it wasn't serving you completely.
aka a cosmic get out of jail free card.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
one straight from the universe straight to you. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. And when we look back, we realise sometimes why these things had to happen in the divine tapestry of life. Yeah,
very much so.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the one that I just did with Kelly, about how, like, I lost my job, my place to stay, and my visa in Australia all on the same morning.
Perfect.
2 days before I was leaving on vacation to the Philippines.
Oh, gosh.
And had that not happened, I would have never met Kelly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be here right now.
Don't even
So
say it.
it just, and I decided, you know, I remember even doing a Facebook post about it that morning. It's like, what do you do when, you know, all of these three things happen? And then I gave like multiple choice, and it's like, you get pissed off at the world, you blame everybody but yourself, you do this, or you pack a box of stuff up, ship it to the United States, and go to the Philippines with a backpack and see what happens. And that's what I did, and it was phenomenal. Awesome. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Or trust. That's the thing. Or trust the timing of your life. Yeah, all these little things. And at the minute, because I'm writing a course and a book, and I'm picking up quotes to go with different things, and some of these quotes I've been posting on my Instagram for years. You know, like even before I was into all this stuff, I would post something like, trust the timing of your life, or this too will pass, or, you know, even just the word trust. And just more and more and more am I just realizing, like, these aren't just Instagram memes that people post. Like, these are the nuggets of gold.
Yeah.
Like, trust the timing of your life. The more you delve into that, you know, all these things that we become frustrated with, or even in the personal development work, the women I work with are all, you know, like, come to me because they want to overcome something. And for years, I've been helping people to overcome things, overcoming things myself. And now it's almost like I'm kind of doing the opposite now. I'm like, okay, how can we be okay in what we're in now? How can we find bliss and peace and happiness in this moment and be really present, rather than trying to learn a lesson or overcome a barrier, you know, and take ourselves kind of out of the present. So, yeah, trust the time of your life, guys.
Yeah,
watching this.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I like it. So, you have courses coming up soon?
Yep.
What kind of course?
My new course, which isn't launched yet, the 12-step self-love transformation, it will be out at the beginning of June. So that is a step-by-step process on how to not get more self-love, not find self-love, but just remove anything that might be in the way that's preventing us from being who we truly are. Yeah. And to just reconnect with our natural state, which is bliss and happiness and peace. It's so powerful. It's like, even like one module of it would do a lot of people that have never done this work, but it's 12 modules of it. Nice. So it's a really big, juicy project that doesn't take that much time.
Yeah. So how much time would it take?
It's an 8-week course, kind of like 2 20-minute videos and a workbook. So it's definitely based on how much time you put into it, and thought, and how you can feel that in your body. But it's really step by step, and we have some really cool things. So we're both into Kundalini.
Yes, Kundalini. So, if you don't know about it, check it out. It's amazing.
Totally check it out. Like, we're so super into it. So we have some simple Kundalini practices, which is like such a fast track on all of this stuff. And I know we're not talking about fast, you know, a magic pill or anything like that. But like, if there's a really good way to drop the bullshit in your mind and get into your body, which is truly what we need, Kundalini is it. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know anything about Kundalini yoga, it's like, the way I think about it, when I found Kundalini yoga, I had already been doing yoga for a couple of years, and I just happened to go to a class, And I thought about it, and I was like, I really liked it. I felt amazing from the very first time that I did it. I thought about if somebody had showed up to that class who had never experienced yoga before, they would be like, these people are completely bonkers. Like, what do they think that they're doing? But it's a system. You know, there's technology is what they call it, which is a system of kriyas, which are actions to open up the energy flow, the movement in your body, and it works. It's amazing. It gives you energy and feeling. And sometimes you'll leave a Kundalini class and you'll be like floating in the air, and sometimes you'll be bouncing off the walls, and sometimes you'll be like on the verge of tears, or ready to punch somebody, and that's all emotion that you have stored inside of you, and energy that you have stored inside of you that is being released, and it's just wow, that's awesome.
So we've got some of that in there because it's a kind of like a little nugget of fast track. We've got some hypnosis, all the kind of workshops that I teach at retreats and workshops around the world that I've kind of got the essence and put it into the course. And a lot of learning through stories. So like a lot of the women that I've coached over the years, and men, mostly women, who've made the transformations that people watching, you guys, probably might be trying to make. So like actually like, this is how this person showed up when I first met them, and this is what they went away with, and this is exactly what we did. So it's very practical, very step by step.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you're also doing a couple retreats coming up soon.
Retreats, yeah. Ibiza, that one's full in June.
Sorry,
and
guys.
that one's full. June in England, that's a 4-day infinite self-love spa retreat. It's not just sitting in a spa getting your nails done. It's deep healing work, and it's about creating a big transformation. So it's not just go chill out at a yoga retreat. It is some work within a beautiful surroundings and all the nice things that go with a retreat as well. But it's all about transformation. And then another one yet to be announced in Bali at the later in the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what about your dreams for the future? Like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Besides being completely happy and comfortable right now. But
yeah, well, my big dream is to help 1 billion people to do what I've done, essentially, like to harmonize their inner world so that they can live freely, travel the world, live abundantly, have a passionate career helping people, or whatever it is that you want to do. It's like once we get out of our own way, because I spent so many years worrying about what I looked like and going inwards in a negative way, and it took up all of my energy. And once that was out of the way, I had all this space to create what I really wanted to do. So that's what I do now. I help people, and I have this awesome business and live in Bali and LA and travel around. And so I want to help 1 billion people to do that. And I believe that when that happens, more than 1 billion, we'll naturally see a nice increase in the way we're all living, in the way that Earth works, and the seas will start to repair themselves because people will be more happy. Because when I was unhappy, I was a consumer. I'm a consumer now, but like consuming so much, lots of toxic things, getting loads of health things, like getting my hair bleached and just all this stuff. It's all ruining the planet and ourselves. And now it's all au naturel, no shoes,
Well, and it's also like when people are really consumed with making money, paying the bills, taking care of the kids, doing all this stuff, like you get really busy and you don't have enough time for yourself even. And so it's really hard to worry about like, oh, does my does my car use too much gasoline? Is all of the stuff that I'm buying at the grocery store, wrapped in plastic? Is, like all of these things that we take for granted on the earth. One of the reasons that we use all of the plastic and all of the chemical products and even like the pesticides and things that they use on crops, all of this stuff is for ease, is to speed up the process so that we don't have to worry about these bugs, or we don't have to worry about taking care of this, or how long this takes to decompose, or whatever. So when we have more time for ourselves, when we have more love for ourselves, then we have more time to give back to the planet.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that goes hand in hand with traveling, is that as you travel, like, I don't care, people can argue all day long about whether climate change is real. Like, I see the most ridiculous arguments. But the thing is like, regardless of that, go and look around the world and tell me that it's in as good of condition as it was when I was even a kid, or before that, generations before that. You see mounds of plastic covering beaches, and you see, like, I was recently in northern Thailand, in Chiang Mai, and the whole month of March, like, I couldn't see a mountain that was not that far away from me because the smog was so bad. And that's caused by us. That's not caused by anything other than humans mistreating the earth. So when we get out and we start traveling, we start to see the truth, of what we are doing and what we need to do. And that's one of the whole points about this podcast, is that I've been meeting people that are all trying to do something amazing and do better things for the earth, and for themselves and for the people around them. And I want to show that stuff to you guys so that you have that inspiration to go out and do amazing things as well, to follow your dreams, to take care of yourselves, to take care of the earth, and everything else like that. So, was there anything else that you would like to add?
Did you say you wanted me to give some practical?
Oh yeah, maybe some tips or some pointers to people that are either going to start traveling, or looking for starting a business, or finding some work abroad, or anything like that, or for self-love, whatever.
I've got plenty of self-love things. Yeah. So, let's see. I would say, my number one tip. So if you're watching, you might have heard people talking about gratitude and gratitude journals, and writing down what you're grateful for every day, which is great. I'm totally into gratitude as well. What I like to do is around forgiveness. So instead, or as well as doing a gratitude journal, I get my clients to write down, I am yet to forgive myself for, and then just write down underneath anything that you haven't forgiven yourself for. So it could be something really simple, like for being late for work, or it could be for forgetting to ring my grandparents, or it could be something big, like I'm yet to forgive myself for something I did in a relationship, or something like that. It could be a big thing or a little thing, and just write them down. So the key is that I am yet to forgive myself for. It doesn't mean I'm going to. It's just having that awareness of all the different weights we carry on our shoulders.
Very much.
Yeah. So as you write your list, you might just notice that there's some things on that list that you can be like, oh, I was carrying that on my shoulders, but I can forgive myself for that. Yeah. And other things maybe not. But even the awareness of seeing them written down on paper starts the process. And blame and self-love are two sides of the same coin. You can only really have one or the other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of your choice. And as you do this exercise, you'll naturally start to feel lighter. So that's one of my nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My nice tips.
That's interesting, actually, because you were saying that when you first when you first kind of had your realization, you were, in your house for months reading, and you mentioned the Dalai Lama. And I remember actually when I was working on the oil rigs, I picked up The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama, and it says that a lot, and it's not all just about yourself, but about, the people you come in contact with too. Forgiveness is such a huge thing that, when somebody makes you angry or sad or, frustrated or whatever, the chemical reaction that happens in our brain in a fight or flight situation, like somebody cuts you off in traffic, like there is a chemical reaction that happens in your brain that, causes that adrenaline flow, but that chemical reaction only lasts for anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds. And then after that, it's up to you whether you're associating that experience or that feeling with all of these other things in the past, and whether you hold a grudge towards that person. So then you can be angry the entire rest of the drive home. The rest of the 30-minute commute you can spend fuming about this person that cut you off. Or you can realize that person had their own things going on, and they didn't do it intentionally, like just to piss you off. It's just they were in their own world and couldn't really give a shit whether you were there or not, and they had their stuff to deal with. So also when somebody says something bad or even does something like tries to cheat you or lies to you or something like that, you have to think of what has happened to them in their lives that have brought them to having those kinds of defense mechanisms to where, they feel like they have to do that in order to survive. And when you start to think about that, then you're quicker to forgive those people for all those things.
Definitely. I'm definitely having that lesson at the minute.
And then it's the same with yourself. When you can start to forgive yourself, you can bring so much more into your life, and you believe in yourself more. When you realize, yes, maybe those actions were my actions, but we all do things, and the past is not going to change. So whether we hold on to them and beat ourselves up is a choice, really.
Totally.
Well, anyways, Gina, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It's lovely talking to you always.
You too.
So you want to give your social media and contact stuff?
You can find me at ginaswire.com, GINASWIRE. And it's Gina Swire on Instagram, Gina Swire on Facebook, Gina Swire everywhere.
There you go. Easy enough. Gina Swire.
Easy breezy.
So thank you guys all for listening. It was a pleasure to ramble on about amazing self-love stuff. And hopefully you guys check out all the other stuff that's on the website. Sustainable Intentions, and also check out the podcasts that are coming up. And if you like what we're doing and believe in it, you can visit my Patreon account. The link to it is on my website as well, and you can donate $2 or $5
or
maybe.
200.
Yeah, or 200. There you go. Whatever you think. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you later.